From the couch to a cross-country trip on a bicycle, Tim Fahey had no idea what he was getting into.
And it was quite an undertaking, and when he finished it, he decided that he needed to write a book about it. It's called The Fun Mover Chronicles, Biking the Northern Tier. Tim Fahey lives in Scarborough, and he's with us on 207.
Nice to be here.
Appreciate your cycling in here. So 2014, you decided that you were going to ride a bicycle across the entire width of the United States. What made you want to do it?
A loss in the family. I was looking forward to kind of getting rid of some of the grief I felt when both my parents died relatively suddenly. My mother died of ALS, and I think it was, in retrospect, after looking back at it, it was a kind of a trip purposed by grief.
Up till then, had you been a pretty serious biker? Did you do a lot of biking?
Strangely, no, but when I was a kid, it was one of the things I wanted to do. So it was time to look at my bucket list, renew it, and put the bicycling trip on the top #1 spot.
You talk about how you didn't even train for this.
I took one spinning class.
So you get out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were many points where you thought, why am I doing this?
I kind of knew that I was going to do it, and I wasn't going to be stopped until my front tire tasted the Atlantic. On a cross-country bicycle trip, what typically people do is they back up the bike tire, the rear tire goes in the Pacific, the front tire goes in the Atlantic. That way you know you made it the whole way. I was determined to do this, and even though I was way out of shape, denial is what they say, not only a river in Egypt. I was in complete denial of my physical capabilities, but my mental engine was determined.
You had no intention really of writing a book. It started out though as Facebook posts to your family to kind of keep them updated. When did you realize there might be something here?
Well, when a person came up to me about 6 months later who I didn't know and said, "Man, I tell you, I went to sleep with your posts every night, and our challenge was with my wife and I to see who wouldn't laugh first." So that was a compliment to me that I saw the power of the printed word, really, or I should say the screened word, and that's when I fell in love with it.
You started in Washington State, destination Maine.
Yes, sir.
You started out with a buddy. He bailed on you. Did you, at any point fairly early on in the first few weeks, did you think, oh, this was a great idea when I was sitting on my sofa in the living room, but now that I'm actually doing it, this wasn't so great?
Good point. There was a time when I did lose the honeymoon phase of the trip, specifically one day when I was pedaling for 13.5 hours, basically straight against a headwind up a hill, which sounds strange because you'd figure the headwinds would take a little while to get together on the plains and then sweep toward you, but there were some vertical challenges that I took, and that really tried my desire, but I never left it.
The best travel writing is almost always when things go wrong.
Yep.
How did things go badly for you out there?
The worst days when I hurt my left tendon. I was bicycling, and my left hammy kind of took a ping, and it made essentially the bicycle unrideable. So I tried just pedaling with one foot, and that didn't work too well. So I had to push for about 10 miles and then take some Aleve pills, and then, yeah, it was tough.
Just keep pushing through, though.
Yeah.
We talked about how your buddy bailed, but you had a lot of people helping out along the way, a lot of characters that you met along the way.
Absolutely. The kindness of strangers was in full play in this book and in this trip. And I don't want to, let's back up just for 1 sec. My buddy bailed, but he was scheduled to leave. But he left a little early because he was an artist who won an artist residency to go to.
So he had good reason to leave you.
Very good reason, yes. Yes, he did. But yes, the kindness of strangers and the random, just what we call them trail angels. They'll show up in the middle of nowhere, oftentimes right at the exact time, and then just leave. For example, when I was going up Washington Pass, I ran out of water. I was about 4 miles from the summit. I was bonking, which means just losing my water. And a lady came up with 5 gallons in her car. She loaded up our onboard canteens, and off she went. Unbelievable. When you see America on a bicycle, you really get to soak it in and admire the physical beauty. What part of the trip made the biggest impression on you in terms of the landscape? I'd say the Great Lakes. I would. I was unexpectedly wowed by the sheer size of them. Lake Erie was beautiful. And I wasn't expecting, after all that pedaling with no real view of any water, this thing just kind of erupted. It was almost like I was on the Caribbean. The colors were beautiful. You make a trip like this when you're not a kid, it must change your life to some degree. In what way did it affect you? I came back with a new kind of set of priorities. For the chief one among them was we moved to Maine. It was when you are older and you do a trip like this, as a kind of a bucket list, you realize your priorities are different. And a bicycle trip allows you to stay away from the media shower that we all live in and kind of get some thinking done. And that's what it did for me.
Clearly, good decisions came out of this trip.
Yes.
Tim Fahey, author of The Fun Mover Chronicles, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Stick around. We're going to be back with more 207 in just a moment.